In Lesson 2.6, the target states, I can convert between fractions and decimals. We'll also need to be able to convert back from decimals to fractions. So there's several strategies we're going to review in this video to help you be better at converting between fractions and decimals back to fractions. First, you might know what 3/4 is as a decimal. Most people know 3/4 is 0.75. If you had 3/4 of a dollar, you have 3/4. 3/4 is 75 cents. 0.75 is how we would write 75 cents. But if you didn't, you would need to remember that the fraction bar in 3/4 is actually a division problem. It's 3 divided by 4. You can always divide to convert a fraction to a decimal. To do that, I would put 4 divided into 3. 3 goes into house. It's 3 divided by 4. But 4 does not go into 3 at all. That's how we end up with a decimal. So I have to add some zeros. 4 does, however, go into 30. 4 times 7 is 28. 30 minus 28 is 2. So I'm going to add another 0. And bring down the 0. And 4 goes into 20 5 times. 4 times 5 is 20. So I have no remainder. The answer to 3/4 is 0.75. So I can divide. Another way to do a conversion is to reduce. If you don't know what 6/8 is, you could see 6/8 can be reduced. 6 and 8 have a common factor. They're both divisible by 2. If I divide the numerator and the denominator by 2, I'm reducing this fraction and it becomes 3/4. So I might not have recognized 6/8 as 0.75, but if I know how to reduce it, I can see that 6/8 is 3/4, which is 0.75. Reducing is a good strategy because 6/12, if you don't know what 6/12 is as a decimal, you do know what it is if I reduce it to 1/2. The common factor of 6 and 12 is 6. 6 goes into itself once, and 12 divided by 6 is 2. 6/12 is 1/2 or 0.5. And the same with 3/9. 3/9 can be reduced. If I divide the numerator and denominator by a common factor of 3, 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 9 divided by 3 is 3. It's 1/3. In case you didn't know, 1/3 is 33, and it's a repeating decimal. So leaving us with that last strategy to reduce and find equal fractions that we might know. One thing you're going to need to be able to do is decide if, when you convert a fraction to a decimal, if it's a repeating decimal or if it's a terminating decimal. Let's try 2 examples really quick. 5/8. 5/8 is 8 divided by 5. So if I set it up 8 divided by 5, 8 does not go into 5 at all. So I have to add a decimal. 8 does, however, go into 50. 8 times 6 is 48. 50 minus 48 is 2. I have to add another 0. 8 goes into 20 2 times. 2 times 8 is 16. 20 minus 16 is 4. I have to add another 0. I'm going to see how long this keeps going. Well, I see that I just added a 0 and it became 40, and 8 goes into 40, an even number of times. So this is going to be a terminating decimal. 8 times 5 is 40. 40 minus 40 is 0. There's no remainder. When I end up with no remainder, I have a terminating decimal. The decimal just ends at a 5. 5/8 is 0.625, and it is terminating. Let's take a look at a repeating decimal and what happens when we divide. 2/3 is 3 divided by 2. 2 divided by 3. So if I set it up as 3 divided by 2, 3 does not go into 2. So I have to add a decimal point and a 0. 3 goes into 20 6 times. 3 times 6 is 18. 20 minus 18 is 2. Add another 0, bring it down. Again, I have 20. 3 goes into 20 6 times again. 18. 20 minus 18 is 2. If I keep doing this, it'll just keep happening. It'll be repeating over and over and over. And I'll just keep getting a 6. Therefore, 2/3 is a repeating decimal of 0.6. And it goes on forever. All I really need to do is write 1 6 or 2 6s, and it's repeating. So I'm going to use the repeating symbol over the 6's. And I put that repeating symbol over just the numbers that are repeating. So 0.6 or 0.66 repeating. I could also write it as just 0.6 repeating. The last thing you're going to be able to do to meet this target is convert from a decimal back to a fraction. To do this, the thing you need to remember most is just place value. Place value is looking at the numbers to the right of the decimal. If there was nothing in the ones place and we cross over the decimal point, then what place value would we be in where the number ends? So let's try to remember. This is the tenths, the hundredths, the thousandths, the 10,000ths, the 100,000ths, and the millions place. So if we can count over, for instance, in this number here, the 2 is in the hundredths place. 0 is in the tenths place. So it's just 2 hundredths. Since the 2 ends in the hundredths place, it is 2 hundredths, which is 1/50th. So to convert a decimal back to a fraction, it's really all about place value. Take a look at 0.036. What place is the 6 in? If I count over tenths, hundredths, thousandths, the 6 is in the thousandths place. So it is 36 thousandths, which can be reduced. I can divide it by 2 and get 18 500ths. I can divide it by 2 again and get 9 250ths. I could probably keep reducing it too if I wanted to, but I'm going to stop there. The last one, 0.4, what place is the 4 in? It's the tenths place, so it's just 4 tenths. 4 tenths can be reduced to 2/5. So 0.4 is either 4 tenths or 2/5.